Welcome into the WalterPicks Fantasy Football Show. What a time to be alive, guys. We're talking week one, game by game thoughts, what we expect, and what we're watching for heading into these first games. It's been a long and fast draft season. We still got a week left, technically, when we're recording this early in the AM, but we're getting on our in-season calendar. Seth, Avery, every Monday, we're going to be getting out a recap episode of the previous week's games. But heading into week one, no recap to do, but we're heading into the week one game. So excited to have the season here and to dive into it. We're going to go through every single game. We're going to talk through what we expect in the game, things we're watching for in these games. Each of us will have one favorite player prop across the whole week that we'll call out. We'll have one must start fantasy player, one must bench fantasy player. And we're also going to try to call out who we think the waiver wire pickup of week one will be after these games, trying to get out ahead of it. We'll also be each picking the winner of each game. Some will be much easier than others. Let's dive into it, guys. Talking through the first game of the NFL season is always the winner of the Super Bowl. This year, the Philadelphia Eagles. The previous year, they'll be raising the banner on Thursday night, going up against the Dallas Cowboys. Eagles are 6.5-point favorites at home in this game. This is going to be a really, really fun opening game for fantasy and for real NFL purposes too. The Eagles bring back basically the exact same team as last year, especially offensively. Saquon projects as the running back one in the first game of the season in the WalterPicks app. He's been the running back one in our projections for quite some time. I personally have been taking Bijan over him at the one spot, and looking at just the week one projections, feel a little bit queasier about that and think people might be overthinking Saquon a little heading into the season. Jalen Hurts projects as a top 3 QB. The Cowboys secondary was atrocious last season. You can see it here. They were dead last against quarterbacks in fantasy last year. A.J. Brown, one of the things I'm watching really closely in this game, how healthy is A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? A.J. Brown really hasn't practiced much recently. I don't know if you guys saw on a podcast he was on in the last few weeks, said he was getting his knee drained almost every week last NFL season. He feels like the type of guy that could be slowing down a little bit injury-wise, so I'll be a little bit concerned about that. You can put those concerns at bay, though, right in week one. But obviously, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, must starts in fantasy out of the gates. I think we'll each call out our must start, must bench on this show and moving forward. In week one, though, for me, not the week to overthink the start sits. You start the guys you drafted the earliest, almost always. It's really those fringe flex slots that I think sometimes you got to think about. But otherwise, why'd you draft that guy if you weren't going to start him in week one? That's my mentality usually. And then you go from there. But yeah, super excited for this game. A really high over-under point projection in this game, even though the Eagles had a really strong defense last year. And I know we've talked a lot about the Cowboys in the NFC East video we posted a while back, but I think we're all pretty excited about them for fantasy. Seth, any thoughts and things that you were looking forward to in this game?
Yeah, definitely. I'm really excited, honestly, about the narrative about the Eagles because they're coming off the Super Bowl. Everyone's been kind of scared to draft Saquon Barkley. And can they come back? Can they repeat? A lot of people, a big thing I've been seeing everywhere is they have a much harder schedule this year. And I honestly am just not buying it, but we're going to find out week one because what I expect the Eagles to do, what I am looking for is Saquon Barkley to have a monster game, to just put the league on notice. Like I'm talking like a 200-yarder. I think this is, I know we're going to get into our favorite prop of the week. This one off the bat just screams to me 92.5 or so rush yards here. I think he's going for triple digits, no problem, to just set a statement to tell the rest of the league, you do not have a chance against us this year again, and just kind of deflate the league, put him on notice with the entire world watching. So that's really what I'm expecting this year. Everyone's talking about Jalen Hurts passing more. I honestly don't think we'll see that quite in week one. And when you look at the lines for A.J. Brown receptions, I believe it's 4.5. You look at Devonta Smith, 4.5. These aren't high reception numbers for any of the top receivers. I think Vegas sees the same thing I do and sees a lot of Saquon Barkley coming out game one. but that's especially what I'm looking for. And then on the Cowboys side, I'm really excited to see how CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens get along out there. I think that's going to be such a dangerous combination. And for me, George Pickens has been a must draft. I did 12 mock drafts on Saturday, and every single draft from every draft spot, I got George Pickens essentially. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to be doing in this game as well. Not on Pittsburgh. I'm a Steelers fan. I've been watching him. I think he's an amazing wide receiver. The effort's been a problem, but on the Cowboys, I think he's all in, ready to go. So that's definitely the two things I'm watching the most is Pickens and Barkley for week 1.
Yeah, pull up the Cowboys here,
yeah.
Seth. I'm definitely extremely excited to watch the passing attack from the Cowboys in this one. And I agree. I think we may have been underrating the potential pass volume for the Eagles when we talked about them last time, just because of how much of an anomaly it was of how little they passed last year. They almost have to pass more this year, but they're 6.5 point favorites in this game. The Cowboys, on the other side, I don't know how they don't throw the ball at least 40 times in this game. We really should get a great look at Lamb and Pickens in this one. I don't know how you could run the ball with Javonte Williams against the Eagles front seven. It just is going to be almost impossible. I think like over under 40 pass attempts, 39.5 pass attempts is probably where I would set this line. For Dak, his passing yards line is only at 243.5, which feels really, really solid for the over there. It's not going to be my official pick. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm pumped to watch George Pickens. I think you definitely need to be starting if you drafted him. Avery, any other things you're watching for in this game before we hop to the next one?
Yeah, the Eagles are going to try to control pace. That's just what they do. That's what they know. And you have a guy like Saquon Barkley, it's going to happen. He's already projected for about 100 rushing yards just on the ground in general. And it's not like the Cowboys' run defense is terrible. They're going to do what they know. And when you look at the Cowboys side of things, Javonte Williams is probably not going to get a bunch of usage. I do not suggest starting him in fantasy football. He's projected for the same amount of rushing yards as Jalen Hurts is. So that's not something I like to see. But the Cowboys are going to pass an insane amount. This Eagles defense is easier to beat in the air, so that's where I expect them going. So CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens is going to be a bit more on the boomer bust as far as fantasy point consistency goes. But this is a week I'm taking that bet because, like Sam said, you're starting the guys you drafted early because it's week 1. You don't have to overthink it.
Yeah, I think both the tight ends in this game somewhat sneaky as well. I don't think anyone really drafted these tight ends in most fantasy leagues as starters. But both these guys project for real roles and should be on the field pretty much the whole game. Dallas Goedert was pretty good down the stretch of the NFL season and in the NFL playoffs last year. I think he's being slept on a little bit. And then Jake Fergo should have a pretty big role on this team could lead the NFL in pass attempts this season. Kind of a sneaky, cheap Bengals pivot that we talked about last time we talked about the Cowboys. All right, I think we are ready to make our predictions of who's going to win. Then we can jump to the next game. I am going to go with the Eagles here. Are either you taking the upset on opening night?
I'm not. I'm going to Eagles.
I'm going Eagles as well.
All right, we're keeping the chalk in this first game. I'm sure we're going to have some upset picks as we go along here. But let's jump to the next game.